I touched places in my intuition in the dark that I never, ever touched before. Welcome to the Seeing in the Dark podcast. My name is Nicole Costeres, and I welcome you in a space to find a deep trust in yourself, your intuition, and the deeper intelligence of life. In this podcast, I offer ways to cultivate your intuitive gifts and dive deep into the mysteries of power, purpose, and soul leadership, so that you can remember your deepest core and let your truest potential come alive. Dark, primal, shamanically wild, crystallized, bright, and subtly intuitive. So just before we start this episode of 12 Days and Nights in Complete Darkness, I just want to let you know that I opened a registration for a new round of the You Are a Soul Leader, Soul Emergence and Business Mastermind. This is a mastermind for a small group of women that will journey together with for 6 months in embodying your essence so deeply that you naturally can teach, assist, and inspire others from that. In this mastermind, you will be offered a space where you can birth your soul work more fully into the world and do it also in the safe space of community and togetherness. So this mastermind is a blend of really embodying your own essence more fully and allowing the transmission of that to be supported in business structures, all the way from creating your own masterclasses to setting up your own online program, setting up your high-end one-on-one mentorship, effortless content creation, clear messaging, community building. Because I find that the magic happens when we can blend the deep journey to becoming more of who we are and support that with business structures. I find that when it's only one or the other, one will start to long for the other. So this Soul Emergence and Business Mastermind, You Are a Soul Leader, is a meeting of that. And if you feel curious, you can go to womenofancientfutures.com. You'll find all the information you need about the mastermind there. And also you can book your free 45-minute discovery call with me to find out how this program can support your soul emergence and your business. Much love. Hi, welcome to this new episode of 12 Nights and Days in Complete Darkness. So I'm creating this episode about my experience with darkness retreats, because every time when I start sharing about this, I get so many questions and curiosities. And so I gave you the chance to send in some questions, and this episode, I will take the time to answer all of them. Yes. So I feel the intention for the first part of the call to go a little bit more into the practical around darkness retreats. And then the second half, I feel the intention to go a little bit more into the experiential, into the energetic, the emotional, and the spiritual experience of spending time in darkness. And so today I brought my tea because actually one of you gave me some feedback on the last podcast episode about my biggest launch ever. She said, "Oh, I really enjoyed it. I felt a bit like I was having a coffee with you in a cafe." So if you feel like getting some tea or coffee, or give yourself a drink and just find a relaxed place to listen to this, then I'm also enjoying my tea. So first of all, I sometimes get the question, what is a darkness retreat? And sometimes when I name that I spend time, or that I spend time in a dark room, people, I experienced this one time in my Tantra, when I was in a Tantra training. This guy next to me, he said, "Wow, you went into a dark room?" And he thought that I was talking about these rooms that you have in sex parties. Those rooms are completely dark. And then when you go into them, you cannot see who you're having sex with, basically. So this is not the kind of dark room that we are talking about here today. The kind of darkness retreat that I am talking about is retreating in complete darkness. And so this can either be with a group or individual. And my experience so far has been only individual. So meaning I spent time in a room that is completely dark for the whole duration of the retreat, no windows. When I would wave my hands in front of my eyes, I don't see anything. So there is no light whatsoever in this room. And you can almost compare it with a hotel room, but then dark. So the darkroom that I spent both my retreats in, because I went back to the same center, and I will actually go back to the same center again this coming December for my first 21-day darkness retreat. But my 12-day and night darkness retreat, as well as my 7-day and night darkness retreat, were in a room that had a single bed, a toilet, a shower, some space to put my yoga mat for practice, then a simple table and chair to have my food at, and then some, I don't know, just some basic small storage places to bring some clothes and some things for my altar. And I will share also a little bit about what I bring into the darkness retreat. But what I really love about darkness retreats is that you can create your own experience. There are not really any rules unless you go in there with your own tradition. So for example, I had a neighbor while I was now 7 days and nights in darkness. I had a neighbor who was in there for 45 days and nights. Like, wow, I cannot even imagine. He was in there for 45 days and nights, and he was a martial arts master. I think actually he's still in there now. A martial arts master. So I would hear him practice. I would hear his sticks go like tick, 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 in the day, and when he would like practice his arts. And I hear about more people who go in there with martial arts. I hear people who go in there with their yoga practice. I hear people going in there with their breathwork practice, with their breatharian practice. Basically, you can bring any practice that is yours into the darkness. And so this is what I really, really love about it, that you're free to create your own retreat. And how this whole journey started with me actually even finding out about it was, I think around 2000, it must have been around 2015 or something, or 14. And I accidentally ended up just by, like browsing on the internet and going from one website to another. I accidentally ended up on a website about darkness retreats, which I think was a center close to Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. And I was from the beginning immediately completely fascinated. And I already felt a deep calling from within. And I just knew that one day I would do it. But then it kind of went to the background again. And I didn't really think about it much anymore until I went to Brazil in 2018 and then felt it's time. It's time to go into darkness. And so my first darkness retreat was 12 days and nights in a dark room by myself. Now, before I go into the experience itself, I really want to make sure that I answer all the practical questions as well. So people often ask me, how do you get food in there? If you're alone in there, are you talking with people? The answer is no, I'm not talking with anyone. I do know that if I would need help, I can write a note to the person who is coming to bring me food. Now in the center where I love going into, where I love going into darkness, they have the option to eat once a day, twice a day, or 3 times a day. So even if you are a breatharian, for example, and you want to practice, you want to go into darkness without eating, this center will not allow you to do that. At least you would need to drink watermelon juice or something that shows that you're still alive. Otherwise, she will not do it. I will share a lot more about Miss Rose, the owner of this hotel. She's amazing. So I decided both times to do 2 meals a day. And for me, this is perfect because I feel when we go into darkness, we want to leave some space for sensing the darkness. You know, we want to leave some space to really sense ourselves. So I would say that it's really beautiful when we don't eat too much and we leave some space for our own journeying within. But also, I want to say that here today, I'll be sharing my experience. And of course, like I always share, always trust your own intuition above what anyone else is saying, including me. So, yeah, about the food. And most centers will give you the possibility to share your preference around your diet, and you can kind of set up what you really like. What I bring with me into darkness. Honestly, I don't bring a lot because in Mexico, it's really, really hot. So both times in my darkness retreats, I wasn't wearing any clothes. No, I really enjoy being in there naked, just being in there naked and just enjoying myself. I didn't need any clothes. I do bring them though. So I bring a little bit of clothes. I bring some crystals because it's really, really powerful. I will share a bit more about that later, but your intuition goes through the roof when you're in darkness. And so it's um, a really beautiful opportunity to sense, for example, I brought the first time my yoni eggs to really feel the difference between my jade egg and my tachionized egg. I brought some other crystals to meditate with. I brought my essential oils. It's so beautiful. The smell just amplifies so much. But also when I go through an intense process, it was really powerful to have those oils with me because they would help me to to relax or to calm down, or they would help me move through the process. Yeah. Let's see what else. This time I actually brought 2 tennis balls with me just to have some like balls to massage my back with, to really work on my muscles. My yoga mat. I always bring my yoga mat with me. I did bring again, also last time, pen and paper, just because sometimes these amazing insights come, and then it was very hard for me to let them go and trust that I will remember them. So then I wrote them down. And actually, both times, some of the notes I cannot even read back because I was writing on top of my own sentences where the pen wasn't really fully catching the ink. So what I was actually thinking of this time is for my 21-day retreat, I was considering maybe to bring in a voice recorder that doesn't have any light, because that's the thing in the darkness. You don't want to bring in anything that has light. So no phones, no electronics in general, right? But for example, I have an air conditioner in the room for just bringing in fresh air in the room, and a fan. And the first time the air conditioner actually had a little bit of light leak, but this time it was really completely dark. So you really want your room to be completely dark. For me, this is really, that just amplifies the power of the retreat. And also, actually, what happens when you go into darkness is that after day 3, for some it will be a little bit earlier, for others it will be a little bit later, but around day 3, the body starts to produce DMT by itself. And so that means that in my experience, it's very similar to an ayahuasca experience, only without getting nauseous and without puking. But yeah, so what I mean with that, it opens the space of visions, of seeing sacred geometry, seeing colors, really feel the thinning of the veils. So the spirit world can come close, just the multi-dimensional reality, other beings, other dimensions. It's like when you spend longer, and I heard even for some shorter than 3 days, but when you spend longer than 3 days in complete darkness, you start to open into a completely different realm. And in this realm, yeah, it gave me the opportunity to meet myself deeper than I've ever met myself before. And this is what I love about the darkness. The darkness is the main teacher. There's not really a teacher putting new input inside of you, but it's really like a vast opportunity to land really deep at home inside, and also land really deep in a communion with the mystery, in a deep communion with the deeper intelligence that is working you. And this is also because people ask me, what is your practice that you take with you into the darkness? And my practice is, I only have one practice in life, but also in the darkness. And that is to allow myself to be guided by the mystery in each moment. That's my only practice. And in the expression of that, many different practices can pass my expression, but my only one practice is to surrender to a deeper intelligence and allow that to move me in each moment. And the darkness retreat offers a space where there is no distraction. You cannot really hide for anything. So it's a very pure experience where everything becomes very clear, where everything becomes actually very bright, even when you don't see anything physically. Not completely true though, because I can see colors very physically, where actually when I close my eyes and open my eyes, I sometimes have the same visuals. So it can also be super intense actually. Which is also coming back to the food part. For me, the food oftentimes is my savior, man. Like really, I had times, especially in my first retreat, the 12 days and nights, I had times where I was so strong in the DMT experience that the food was the one thing that would ground me back in my body. Of course, also showering really helped. Walking barefoot on the ground really helped. My essential oils really helped. Self-pleasuring or root activators, anal massage really helped to ground me back down. But the one thing that helped me the most was just the food. That would give me like 1 hour. I don't know the time, of course, but it felt like about 1 hour of a break from the DMT, and then next wave would come. So yeah, that's really what was helpful for me in that. Let's see if there are any other practical questions that came in before I go a bit more to the experience. Is it all the time dark? Yes, it's all the time dark. What do you bring with you in the room? Yeah, I think I kind of summed that up now. So paper and pen, I was thinking about a voice recorder. I haven't done that yet, but that's what came up after this time. I was like, wow, that would actually be also really nice, because now I miss out on some notes because the pen doesn't always catch it. What I also bring is some apples and some nuts, just some things that stay well for a long time, and just in case when I want something grounding in between meals. It's really nice to have some apples, and apples stay well very long. So that was really good for me, and some nuts. And I think the first time I also had some peanut butter or cashew nut butter or something, just something extra to that you have as an option to ground yourself. I think that's it actually. You don't really need a lot in a dark room, to be honest. Actually, yes. What I also brought this time, last time I brought my yoni eggs, which was really amazing to feel the different qualities of the different crystals. And this time I brought my root activator, so my butt plug, and I brought my G-spot wand, because I really wanted to explore the self-pleasuring more in the darkness. And that's amazing because you can really feel how the energies move in the body, where the energy maybe doesn't flow so well, where the energy flows really, really well. It's a beautiful place to see really clearly, to sense really clearly how energy moves inside your body. Yeah. So I think that's about it of what I bring into the darkness. Not a lot. Not a lot. I would give it really, I mean, yes, of course, my toothbrush, my deodorant, my brush for my hair. This time I also brought my hair mask. It was really nice to just like take care of my hair and brush my hair in the dark. And also after a really intense process, that I go through. I love taking a shower in the dark and then just take care of my skin. So I bring my massage oil. Um, yeah, really my essential oils, something nice to brush my hair with. Yeah, just those. Just also actually what feels really nourishing for you, what feels right for you, but something simple. Someone asked also, how long do you recommend to go the first time? Honestly, I don't really have a recommendation. My first time was 12 days and nights, but I also know myself to be someone that dives in very deeply immediately. So, for example, I had only 3 ayahuasca ceremonies before I did a 1 month diet with 16 ceremonies. So my being just works in this way that when I go into something, I dive in fully. That's how my being likes it. But I mean, you can be someone who would like to try it out 1 hour or 1 day. Like even spending 1 day in complete darkness can already be amazing. Probably it will not really go into the DMT experience yet. Although one of my dear friends, I think she said that she went fully into DMT on day 2. So you never know, but 1 day probably is going to be more for relaxing, resting, just experiencing and exploring the dark. But if you want to include the DMT experience, I would say 5 days is a really beautiful time. With 5 days, you will already have the DMT experience. You also go through those first days where sometimes your body just wants to rest. My first 12 days and nights, I came from Brazil, from a time of a lot of retreats, a lot of ceremonies. I was very rested, very aligned with my practice, and I went straight into my process in the dark. I didn't sleep so much necessarily from the start. But the last time that I came out of a few weeks ago, the 7 days, I just came out of a really big launch. And so I had worked a lot and my body was tired. So for the first, what was it? The first 2 or 3 days, my body actually wanted to rest and sleep. And I started to get a bit worried. I was like, wow, am I going to sleep now for 7 days? But actually after day 3, I could feel the DMT rising, and then I got pulled into a beautiful journey. So yeah, I would say 5 days is a really beautiful experience at a minimum. But then also, again, really follow your own intuition. You can even darken your own bedroom. I did that a few times. I spent one time 2 days in complete darkness in my bedroom, and I asked someone to bring me food. And this is already amazing. Even wearing a blindfold for an evening is already so powerful taste of the dark. And then I heard of people that go in all the way up to 45 days. Yeah, 45 days. So anything that resonates for you, I guess. Yeah, how it works with the food, I see another question here. So I already shared that you, in some centers, you can pick one time a day, 2 times a day, or 3 times a day. And what happens is they give the food in most places that I heard of through kind of a double door. So it's kind of a mailbox that has the door on the inside of the dark room and then another door on the outside. You can even check it out on my Instagram stories. At Women of Ancient Futures or at Nicole Costeres. You can check out the story that I did on darkness, and you can see actually my room. And then you'll see that the one who comes to bring the food will put it into the mailbox, and then from the inside, I take out the food. And it's really, it can be a bit challenging because you don't see what you're eating, but it's also so beautiful, because you're really, I experience myself to be so much more present with the food and really so much more aware of the different tastes, and I love fruits. So eating fruits in the dark is amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. So really following your intuition. And again, this is what I really love about the darkness retreat. You can create your own experience. You can bring with you your own practice, right? So someone asked me also, what do you do all day? Well, like I said before, my practice, my only practice in life is to surrender to a deeper intelligence that moves me. So there are some things that tend to repeat each day, also in the darkness. One of them is I usually stretch every day. And in the darkness, it's really beautiful because there is almost a bit more yin naturally. So I notice my body can relax into places in stretching or outside of stretching. It can relax into places that normally don't get the chance to relax. And for example, the first time when I went in the 12 days and nights, I think I was halfway in, and just on a quite random moment, I felt some muscles in my butt relaxing. And when that happened, I was like realizing, oh my God, these muscles have been contracted for many, many years. And I never even noticed it. And I could see that those muscles were connected to some survival mode that I was living on, some contraction that wasn't fully relaxed and surrendered into life, but was kind of with squeezed butts tiptoeing on top of it. And so the darkness, if there's one gift that the darkness gave me, it's a deep unwinding of those survival and control mechanisms in my body. And through that, becoming so much more available for a deeper intelligence that wants to move me. And I remember times in simple ways, this deeper intelligence would be so profound. Because I remember times when I would be hungry, and then I would feel like, oh, I started to wait for my food, and I was like, started to get a little bit annoyed and really getting out of my flow of being moved in each moment. And then it would take forever. It would take forever until the food would come. But if I would find it in me to surrender again to the flow and allow myself to be moved in each moment, and then it would guide me to singing, and another moment it would guide me to dancing, and then another moment I would be in silence, and then another moment, and then like that one moment I would find myself literally sitting down in my chair. And in that same moment, the woman who comes to bring me food walks into the alley. And yeah, just a profound intelligence that was moving me, that I don't really experience any place else than inside the darkness, inside the dark room. Yeah. I touched places in my intuition in the dark that I never, ever touched before. So clearly hearing my body speak, like both times actually, and that was both in the first as well as in the second retreat, really coming to a place where I hear my organs speak, literally hear them speak, sense how they are feeling, listen to what they are longing for, singing for my organs. In the first retreat, it was mainly my liver and my spleen, and I could really see my spleen having these defense mechanisms, physically, but also emotionally. And I remember singing for my spleen, just like through the singing, communicating that it can relax, that it's okay, that this defense is no longer needed, and literally feeling the layers of defense being absorbed by the dark. And this is one beautiful quality that the darkness has. It has this massive absorption power. So that in this whole unwinding process that we go into in the dark just absorbs all those layers that we no longer need. And so for me, the darkness is a very silent teacher, but a very profound teacher. I find that it's a very natural process to go into. And sometimes people laugh at me and they find it like that it sounds a bit weird, like natural. It's not natural to be in darkness, but I find that our body enters into a very natural regeneration process. It starts to naturally regenerate, naturally renew. Like even the eyes, because the eyes get a rest, such a deep rest, that the first 3 days it's still calming down from the light that it would normally have coming towards them. The first 3 days it's also really I see this light reflected in the dark from my eyes. But after 3 days, when the eyes really calm down, even in the dark, you start to see things that you didn't notice before, those 3 days before. And then when I come out of the darkness, both times the colors just blow me away. The colors of the flowers so bright, the colors of the trees and the leaves so bright. It's just the eyes just go through a regeneration process. It's amazing, amazing. And so I didn't do a lot of research to the history of darkness retreats. I know that there are yogis who used to sit in complete darkness, and I know there are traditions that includes the darkness retreats. But what I really wanted to go in open and curious and not come too much from study or traditions. But for the ones who are interested in that, there are some books around it. There's also the center that is next to my hotel. It's the Hridaya Yoga Center in Mazunte. They include also the darkness retreats in their teachings. So there are ways to research. What I really love about being in the darkness is that there is another world opening that is very multidimensional. Like suddenly there is access to earth energies that start to dance my body, and I'm not even doing anything, but these energies just move me and shake me and sing me. And then there are these sounds that come through that are sounds that I would never think of. Or there are these beings, these guides that are offering me transmissions around topics that I maybe couldn't study in a book, or maybe I could, but I haven't found that book yet. There are these interesting realms that open that are so beautiful, so profound. I remember one guide, she would be teaching me a lot in the first darkness retreat. My first darkness retreat was very much in connection with other beings. My second darkness retreat was very much in connection with my soul, with my purpose, with the visions and the potential that lives inside of there. So very different experiences. But in the first one, I remember this guide, she was teaching me about this like orbit, these like circular energy movements from my womb to the earth womb. And she would teach me how to breathe with the earth womb and how to connect my womb to that collective earth womb field. And she would teach me about different movements of energy in the body. But then also at one point, she started to connect me to different collective fields. And one of them was the suppressed pain and suffering of the human collective. And one question that I also saw that was sent in by someone, have you ever been scared in the dark? And from all the, what is it now, 12 and 7, so 19 days that I spent in official darkness retreat. I had some loose days here and there, but I had one day where I was terrified, and that was halfway into my first retreat in 2018. This guide would connect me to this collective field of suppressed fear and pain. And it was unexpected. So it started to overwhelm me and I didn't know what to do. And it almost felt demonic and really scary and painful and sad. And I remember at that point, I was almost about to leave the dark room because I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. So I found a way to snap myself out of it, to send everything and everyone away. I think I actually flashed the light also, which hurt my eyes really, really bad, but I flashed it on and off to just snap myself out of it. And I managed to stay in the dark room. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I think that most of us will meet a point where we meet our fear in the dark, sooner or later. And the beauty is that the next day, I felt curious and I wanted to trust that there was a reason why my guide was showing me this, why my guide was connecting me to this collective field. And so I asked her, I said, I feel open to experience it again and to trust that there is a message or a teaching that you want to offer me in this. And so I sat down again and I told her, I said, please bring it in a bit more softer, or start at least softer than yesterday. And so I sat down and again, I could feel the suppressed pain and what people would maybe describe as the demonic and the separated fears and the pains of our collective. And this time it moved through, but I was able to stay connected to my center. And what that moment brought me was such a deep gift, because I knew as long as I know myself beyond all of this and I can stay connected to that, not with through bypassing or avoiding those feelings, but be fully wide open for all of it, while simultaneously I feel my center and I feel I feel my ground in it. That just taught me that I can sense and be open for anything. I can stay open for anything. And I just noticed since that moment that it's so much easier for me to stay open, even in the moments where I feel really deep pain in our collective, or even when I see a loved one hurt very much. I notice that my body can stay more open, because all of us have a limit, right? Even now I notice it in these intense times when I feel the fear on this planet. It can feel like too much. Or I remember that year when the Amazon was burning, that I felt the pain of it in my body, and my body just wanted to close down. And I don't want to live like that. I want to stay open, to feel life in all its beauty and all its sorrow. And of course, I don't have to stay open the whole time, and it's totally fine if I also want to cocoon and all of that. But I noticed that that one specific moment really helped me to deepen my ability to stay open towards life and to meet all the pain and the sorrow that is on this planet. And not only that, but also to know that nothing can kill me, so to speak, in that. Nothing can destroy me, or if it does destroy me, it's a beautiful destruction that opens a deeper arriving home in me, right? So that experience opened such a deep calmness in me that I feel grateful for until this day. Yeah. And I remember that same guide connecting me then to all the things that were happening on the planet at that moment. And I remember writing them down. There were 8 things, all the way from a hunger in a specific country to a big fire in another country, all the way to, I don't remember, I think it was a hurricane, or I don't remember exactly, but it was 8 things that I was sensing on the planet. And half of them were in the news while I was in the dark room. So I'm sharing this just to let you know that we can connect to such a level of intuition in the dark. It's amazing. What our intuitive potential can do, it just blows my freaking mind over and over and over again. We have no idea what our intuition is capable of, what our natural intuitive self is capable of. I just noticed when I spend time in darkness, it helps me to connect to the potential of humanity, to the intuitive potential that we hold, but also the potential of the way we can live our life. Because I feel when we are intuitively open, connected to our intuitive potential, and surrendered to a deeper intelligence that moves us, wow, I feel that intelligence is what will guide us back into alignment, what guides us back into love and wholeness. And so, yeah, the darkness just blows my mind. um, yeah, so what I do on a daily basis in the dark is really allow the day to unfold and allow my intuition to guide me in each moment, and yeah, to feel fully allow my expression in that, which is sometimes silence and sometimes sounding and singing, sometimes dancing, sometimes speaking, sometimes dissolving in this void of the dark, sometimes bursting in excitement in my light, and anything in between. And really trusting the intelligence of my body. And notice my body, even I can sometimes lay on the ground for hours and hours. I remember one day I finished my breakfast, and before I knew it, I hear a knock and it's my dinner. And I'm like, wow, I just laid here the whole day. And this unwinding just took me on a journey where I would find myself crying my eyes out and not even necessarily knowing why, but just seeing some images pass through, emotions passing through, just unwinding to such a deep level. Even sharing now, I just feel this deep bow to the dark, this deep respect to the dark. We can go in there and come out a completely new being. Completely new being. And that's also why I feel it's really good to take integration time when you come out of the dark, to really give yourself a good chunk of time. I think I gave myself like a week before I even came back online the first time. Second time I came online faster, but I also gave myself a few days to really relax, to let yourself get used to the light again, but also to take that new you with you in your day, to weave that new you into your life again. Let me just check if there are any questions that I can still touch upon. Yeah, I see there is actually a question about integration after the retreat. And this woman specifically asks about risk of dissociation, relationship to others. Yeah, I would really take your time, really to feel the ground underneath your own feet first. I don't think I was speaking a lot with people when I came out, both times. Really took my time to feel myself, spend time with myself, do some journaling. Oh, I loved spending time with the ocean when I came out, just spending time on the beach, just really taking your time to come back, And life, in my experience, life will naturally call you back into a conversation or call you back into a connection with someone. And I noticed also for me, like sharing about it also really helped me to integrate. But I guess the integration process will be very unique to each and every one of you. I feel that the 7 and 12 day that I did so far, I didn't feel a point of dissociation. I can imagine when you go in longer, 45 days, or I hear even people going in 75 days, I think you need to be quite solid inside yourself. And actually, even for the 7 and 12 days, I would really check in with yourself if you have the tools to hold space for yourself in deep processing. So are you able to hold yourself when your deepest sadness comes up? Are you able to love yourself when you are struggling? Are you able to support yourself with breath or sound or movement when these layers of unwinding want to happen? Do you have practices that you can take with you into the dark? And if so, yeah, then I believe you're fine. Then you will be guided. If not, then maybe it's beautiful to find a darkness retreat that is under the guidance of a facilitator inside a group. I'm actually in the process of creating one. It was supposed to happen this year, but due to the COVID situation, it will not. But for sure, next year, there will be a darkness retreat that I'll be offering in a group experience, a small group of 10 people, where we go together into the darkness, and you will be held also with practices in the group. And even if you can hold yourself, I feel a group experience can be powerful because it brings different qualities. It brings other qualities where you can journey with the power of the group as well, you know? So I guess it depends on, I would say, to really trust your own intuition in that, and to trust if you feel the pull, that there is a reason you feel that. I do remember a crossroads where the DMT was really strong. It was in around that same moment of the collective pain that I was sensing. I remember feeling a crossroad where I could understand if people will, like, lose their mind. Sounds a bit weird maybe, but lose a bit the sense of reality. I felt that point. And it's also okay to feel that point, you know? I think the dark does ask for a willingness to die. Yeah. Not to literally die, of course, but to symbolically, energetically, emotionally, spiritually offer yourself up. I do feel that there is a big surrender that is possible in the dark. So yeah. Let's see. So do you meet fears in there? Yeah, I already shared about this deepest fear that came up for me. There are also small fears that I meet along the way, but I can also hold them with a laughter, you know, like that I think, oh, maybe there's a spider that walks in the room, or like these silly things. Or I remember sometimes being a bit disorientated, that I thought I would sit on my bed and then I end up sitting on the toilet, you know, like, and then feeling a bit of fear, like, oh, wow, I lose my direction. I don't know where I am. And then also just really laughing because I'm in a room of 4x4, so I cannot really lose my way, you know. So there are also a lot of funny moments, actually. It doesn't need to be a very serious practice of 12 days and nights in the dark. No, I actually laughed my ass off a few times. I actually walked into a wall in my first retreat. I literally thought I was walking towards, I don't know, towards something else than the wall. And then, buff, there I went, walking fully into the wall, hitting my head pretty strongly. And the second retreat, I hit my head again because I bent over to get something from the ground and I hit my head on the altar, my forehead. So yeah, I mean, it's also okay. I guess it's part of the experience. And yeah, I think you'll meet all ranges, from laughter to crying, from fear to joy, from deep bliss and oneness to frustration and anger and anything in between. Let's see if there are any final questions that I can go into with you. Do you organize your days or just stay in an observe mode? Yeah, I would say it's more an observe mode, a listening and a responding. I talk about this a lot also in my own programs, this listening and responding. That's, I would say, my practice. What's your relationship to sound in the dark? Can you sound throughout the process? Yes. This is also what I really loved about this center, is I'm free to sound, to sing, to just to really give space to my expression. I think that's about it. I think those are all the questions that were sent in. Yeah, let's see if there's anything else that I want to share. Yeah, I guess what I want to share is that if you feel the pull to go into complete darkness, to really trust that pull. And even if it scares you, it's okay. I feel going into darkness is an opportunity to become comfortable with our fears. And actually, once we are in darkness for a while, it's not that dark at all. It's not that dark at all. There's so much to experience, so many colors, so many beings, so many layers of ourselves, so many layers of life. Like, I only remember a few moments where I maybe start to touch the edge of feeling bored or not knowing what to do, but it was like I'm not even talking about minutes. I'm talking about seconds maybe, and then immediately just being so engaged in what the dark wants to show me and how my body wants to unwind and what wants to become clear. I always come out with so much clarity, so much connection, so in touch with life, with nature, with my body, with my intuition. Even now, this time when I came out, I was in the middle of launching my mastermind, and I came out and I was so in touch with my intuition. I just knew exactly what to do when, and everything just unfolded naturally for my launch from there. And so, even preparation wise, really trust your intuition. Maybe you just want to go in there and see how it unfolds. Maybe you want to dive into a study first. I don't know, but I would really say, let it be the space where you can have your own experience unfold, where you can let your own retreat unfold, where there's no rules of how you should be doing it or how someone else think you should be doing it. Even anything that I shared today, you can throw it all overboard and go have your own experience in there, because I feel that's the power of the dark. Yeah. And then imagine the power of your life when you come out in deeper connection to exactly that. I think I will leave it at that for now. I know I can go on, I can continue sharing for so long, but I guess I will leave the rest in a sacred unknown for you to discover. Thank you so much for listening today. If you've been resonating with the things I've been sharing around surrendering to a deeper intelligence that moves you specifically in your soul emergence and in your business, then I invite you for the You Are a Soul Leader 6-month Soul Emergence and Business Mastermind. We start with a small group of women on the 5th of May. And this mastermind is for women who want to be held in a safe and all permission space. It's a space for your greatness, your power, and your gifts to come out more fully. And soul-based leadership is embodying your own unique essence so deeply that your vibration naturally inspires, teaches, and assists others. This mastermind is for the ones who want to let the mystery be your strategy. It's a space for community and a space where aligned business structures can support the fullness of the transmission that you hold for this world. So go to womenofancientfutures.com and book your free 45-minute discovery call with me. Much love.